And we are live. Welcome to the Political Orphans. My name is Nico and I am the in-house conservative. To my left is Rob Ambrose, our token lefty, and together we speak about what's trending in the news. The goal of our show is pretty simple. It's something that you won't see anywhere else out there. We're the only one that does this. And what we do is super simple. We want to show you that liberals and conservative, lefties and righties can get along. And when we don't, because we're adults, we're capable to have a healthy debate based on facts and not emotions. Because guess what? Common sense has no political affiliation. What's going on, brother?
What's happening, brother? How was your weekend?
Man, that was my best intro before we get in there.
That was good.
I fucking nailed it. I'm winning. I'm winning.
Yeah. We really got to get one of those sounds.
Those boards that I can just like
winning.
Yeah, but I think I'm gonna have to rewatch this one and download and just write down the script because I like this. This was the best one yet.
Yep, no, that's a good one.
Bro, busy as fuck, man. Always busy, always fucking busy, always thinking. You have no idea how much I spend time thinking about this show. I got videos for Wednesday already edited and ready to go. Well, yeah, man, because I was invited by Jason Levine, a guy that does a lot of commentators.
The CPAC guy last week, right?
The CPAC guy, exactly. So I got to sit down, man. I think I must have spent on Thursday and Saturday combined, I probably spent 10 hours, 8 to 10 hours. Yeah, I would say like 8 hours. Let's call it 8 to make sure. But I probably spent 8 hours on a live stream with him and other collaborators just talking
on
about
this weekend.
CPAC. Yeah, just on Thursday and Saturday last week.
Fuck.
But you know, that's the type of stuff I want to do, man. Like just this week alone, I think I have 9 podcasts. Like between the 5 that we're doing,
we got 5.
Yeah. We got 5. We have one together on. We have one together on Wednesday night.
Right. We're doing is it Wednesday night?
I believe so. So for the people that are listening to this, if you want to know more, it's on Wednesday, 7 p.m. my time. So 8 p.m. Eastern time. If you guys want to listen to us be interviewed instead of us speaking, it's probably going to get personal. I got a feeling that he's going to go personal. He's very good. Like I didn't know him much until he invited me and I spent a lot of time recording with him, but I got to tell you, he's been doing this for a very long time. He is very good. Like we were 5. Well, we were 5 on at certain times on the live stream, and he was very good at just like ping. Okay, hey, what do you think? What do you think?
Like there's 5 people, and he's just
we were 5. So I understand what it takes in the back end to actually organize everything, and he's still running the videos. He's making sure he's taking notes. The guy's been doing this for a long fucking time,
just like a maestro, Just like bringing in bringing in each piece as is necessary.
Yeah, I'm talking to him on Woken this afternoon.
Nice.
At 6 Eastern. I'm talking to him. But yeah, I got 9 podcasts this week.
Woo! What's the latest on? Is it Judith Curry? Is that her name?
Yep.
I have that at some point. Do we have a date for her yet, or are we still figuring that out?
No, you'll know when you have a date. I'm just trying to see. She responded to me on Friday, and she said that. Yes, that time. Actually, no, we do have a time. I'm
She'll be here in 5 minutes. Oh shit!
No, it's not today. But good call. It is, and I think I sent you an invite for it too.
Yeah.
I added her, so she said she could. Oh no, hold on. No. She just said that works, as in the timing works. Okay. So like the times that we normally do it now.
Yep.
She'll be on, and it's just a matter of fixing a date. But I did get.
For the audience members, Judith Curry is I guess you could call her a climate change denier, but she's a climate scientist. Yeah, I feel like that's a loaded term. She's a climate scientist who doesn't necessarily agree with the consensus. I'm sure she believes climate change is happening. What she probably doesn't agree with is the extent to which, I guess the danger. So I am still a climate change believer, but this show is all about opening minds and changing perspectives. So I'm certainly going to give her a listen. I'm going to ask her some tough questions, but she's going to, at the end of the day, I mean, she's going to say her piece and we can either take it or leave it. But to just say, no, don't talk to her because you don't think you're going to agree with her, that's just nonsense. We don't do that shit on this show.
I've interviewed her before, like we have spoken before. And my other platform, I'm not necessarily there to debate people. I'm just there to give them a platform. I want people to hear the other side of the story that is not mainstream. That's normally my goal on the other one, which here is a bit different because I want to be able to ask those questions. And I think you've learned that by now. It doesn't matter who you are. I'm never going to be easy on you.
Oh,
if
absolutely.
you say something I disagree with, I will call you. I'll be the first one to tell you. I'm not a shy person. I'm not scared about hurting people's feeling. But one thing I can tell you about her, though, she's extremely common sense based. It's just that I've
looked a little bit up her, and it does seem like the clips I've seen of her, she doesn't seem any type of
just go watch the podcast I recorded with her. She's extremely common sense based. People need to understand where she comes from too. She's not a Bill Nye the Science Guy that's barely an engineer that believes he has an opinion on everything. She's not Greta Thunberg either. She was a professor at Georgia Tech, which is one of the most this is one of the most renowned university in the US. She is a climatologist. That is what she does. So she's not just somebody with an opinion. She's not one of the things that we see that she absolutely despises is activist scientists that put their activism in front of their science. There's no such thing as a consensus. If you have a consensus in science, that means that people are not challenging ideas. And that's the problem. And that's what she talks about. She really talks about the fact that people need to stop trying to find confirmation of their opinion in science. In science, you shouldn't have an end goal to prove your opinion. You should have an opinion and then try to investigate it. But at the end of the day, if you look at the scientific method, it's to challenge understanding of anything. Like when you're peer reviewed, the people that are going to peer review you are going to try to destroy what you've done, disagree with you to the maximum, to then, if it turns out that you were right, awesome. If you turned out you were wrong, awesome. That's what the scientific process is supposed to be, and that's what she wants. So you'll see. I don't want to sell it too much, but all to say that she's a brilliant individual. Obviously, she's extremely researched. She's extremely opinionated too. And believe me, bro, she's not scared to take hard questions. She actually wants to debate some of the biggest names on the planet. They just won't do it. They just won't sit down with her because they claim that it's because they don't want to give her the platform. But at the same time, if your ideas cannot stand a challenge, that means you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You don't really believe in what you're talking about, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, the statement, you've heard it a lot over the last few years. The science is settled. I mean, that fundamentally misunderstands how science works. If you think the science is settled, you don't really understand science. And again, to refuse to just listen to someone because you're not going to agree with them is nonsense. And I don't even, there's like, I don't want to platform the person. They'll say, I don't want to platform the person. Well, that's bullshit because, if you disagree with them so strongly, bring them on, debate with them. And if you're 100%. So correct, all the people listening to you will tell that they're full of shit. And so you platform them in a good way because now more people are aware they're full of shit. This whole, the whole thing that they do where I don't want to platform someone, like it's nonsense. It's just, It has nothing to do with science or the scientific method, and it's all about creating a comfortable, safe, ideological bubble where nobody hears any opinion that might differ from them, and no one has to do any uncomfortable soul searching, right? It isn't comfortable to do those things, but as adults, that's what you got to do sometimes. You change your opinions as the facts come in.
As they should. Like, you should always be ready to challenge your opinion. So before 10 minutes in, we still haven't asked you the question of the day. Here's the question for the people that are listening to this. Do you believe that the mainstream media, hold on, let me rephrase that. Do you believe that the woke mainstream media is in trouble? You'll understand why, because of one of the topics today, but that's a question I wanted to ask. Because as somebody that is always looking at the left, looking at the right, I'm always looking at what everybody's saying. I wonder, is the woke mainstream media in trouble? That's the question we have for you today.
I mean,
don't debate. Don't.
You want to talk? We'll talk about it later.
We have a full. Oh yes, we have a full. I have a video for you from Sky News, which is a left-leaning Australian media platform, but they're fucking hilarious. They're they're my favorite left-leaning. I agree with so much.
Do you mean unintentionally hilarious or actually?
No. They're just. I think they're more of a classic liberal. They're more similar to you. Yeah. Like, they're not scared. They will laugh at the left. They will laugh at the right. They will report on stuff, but they have a fucking opinion on everything. And the main girl, I've shared many of her stuff. I think she's hilarious. She's just, I love, she doesn't seem to be bothered about saying what she wants to say. And I'm just very surprised because, Australia is very censored. This place really, like, Sky News really surprises me. Every time I find a good video, I'm like, I have to remind myself that they're Australian, and it kind of fucks with my head. So there's a few things we wanted to approach today. Number one, we have to talk about Trump's choice for FBI deputy director Dan Bongino. We have to talk about Joy Reid's show getting canceled. That one is fucking hilarious to me, and that's where the Sky News video is gonna get played. And I'm gonna want your opinion on this. That's why I cut you off right there, because we need to save this for that segment. Okay. There's a long segment. I spent a lot of time going through this. It's very interesting. So during CPAC, there's a guy called Dr. Malone. I don't know if you've ever heard of that guy, but he is the guy in the US that was he stands for informed consent when it comes to the medical field as a whole. Okay. He is a friend of Bobby Kennedy. And during CPAC, there was a panel with him and another guy. I believe he is the owner of Epoch Times, like the newspaper, like the news station in Canada, which I absolutely love. I have a membership on that place because they're very good at reporting the news from a more conservative place, but somewhere in the middle, right? Really love their platform. And I probably have a 10-12 minute video that explains MAHA. They spend the time to explain what is Make America Healthy Again, what is the plan of Trump, what is the timeline that they're giving each other, what is the sole responsibility of RFK. The way they explained it was brilliant. It's the best explanation I've ever heard. But Malone don't give a fuck. Like, I'm gonna have to put my hat on at certain parts of what he talked, because bro, this is a guy I've reached out many times to try to get on my show. If we can get that guy on the show, we're gonna have to have a lot of warnings at the beginning.
Spend YouTube, a few $100s on tinfoil before we start.
No, because what he says is true. It's just that he's so canceled by the left that it sounds like conspiracy theory, but yet he's he used to be a very respected doctor. You know how that COVID era destroyed a lot of medical professional careers that did not agree with everything the news was telling you. And then the last thing we wanted to talk about is, I don't know how else to frame it, but how bad DEI actually is. You sent me a video
Mm,
about this brilliant Asian girl and how DEI pretty much destroyed her education. So
yep.
this is funny as in, it's not really funny about, like we call it, like um laughing yellow in French. It's a weird expression, but it just says like
Yeah,
what?
like funny, not really, but yeah.
It's not funny at all. It's actually pretty fucking pathetic.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Um,
so go
yeah,
for
no,
it.
sounds like a full show.
Oh yeah,
I will defer to you. It sounds like you've got us all lined up.
like every day, bro.
Yeah,
I'm
that's right.
managing this shit, but I want. So let's talk about a guy that you seem to find very funny for some reason. I'm not
Bon,
sure why.
yeah, are we talking about Bongino, whatever the fuck his name is?
Bongino, this is the first thing we talk about.
Yeah.
You don't seem to like this guy very much.
I'm not. I just okay. So I will put out my bias out there. I've never really listened to him. He's always struck me as just a giant right wing blowhard. I don't really know a whole lot about him, and so I'm just
There you
going
go.
on vibes and feels. You know, to me it just seems like. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, I'm going to take the same tack that I have with all the other ones. If you think, I'm certainly not going to freak out about it. I mean, even anyone on the left, if you don't agree with any of Trump's appointments, then good. You should be happy because, if these are incompetent fools that are going to cause damage, then you've got all the ammunition you need for 2028 when JD Vance or whoever it is running for president. And you can say, look what happened under his watch. So, I mean, I just don't see the point in freaking out about it. If the guy's making a mistake, let him make it and then use it for ammunition. I mean, this is just politics 101.
Couldn't agree with you more, man. I'm just loading up the video right now.
Another headline.
I will let that play, man. My eyes are probably yellow right now. I should have went to pee before I started, but this video has a few minutes, so I'll let you.
Yeah, why don't you go do that?
I'll run it. And this comes from, I believe it was from CNN. Oh, MSNBC. So as you guys see, you can't call me biased because I show videos from Fox. I show videos from MSNBC. I pick and choose videos from all spectrum on purpose because that video is not nice towards Dan Bongino. So it's probably why you feel the way you feel because you listen to too many of those videos. So let's play it.
While
All right.
another headline from last night is that President Trump announced that former Fox News personality Dan Bongino will be second in command to lead the FBI. This is the latest in a series of Trump's controversial picks for high-profile law enforcement roles. Trump named Bongino as deputy FBI director yesterday. To note, that job is traditionally held by a career FBI agent. In fact, it's believed this is the first time a political appointee got that post. He is a former Secret Service agent and NYPD officer, though he has never served in the FBI. As a pro-Trump podcaster, he has advanced a number of baseless theories about the bureau he is set to lead. The appointment does not require Senate confirmation, but it's already receiving real backlash. Here's how one former FBI official reacted to Bongino's new role, saying in part, quote, "This is really concerning. Any hope that Cash," meaning Cash Bell, the FBI director, "could be steered by having experienced leaders around him is out the window. We now have two conspiracy theorists and election deniers running our premier law enforcement and intelligence agency. That is beyond problematic." And Caddy, Bongino is repeatedly on his podcast calling for the dismissal of any agent who had anything to do with some of the Trump investigations, including the lawful with a warrant FBI search of Mar-a-Lago that turned up all those classified documents a couple summers ago. But he's also cut from the same cloth, it would appear, as Kash Patel, a true loyalist who embraces really sort of fringe beliefs about the deep state, about law enforcement, and about enacting retribution in the name of Donald Trump.
Yeah, this is the man who during the Kavanaugh hearings said, my entire life right now is about owning the libs, and seems to have carried on that proposition throughout his career. He has wide influence. He's got one of the top podcasts in the United States. Millions of people follow him. The Agents Association, the FBI Agents Association, had actually wanted a career agent. They'd wanted somebody who'd been an active FBI agent to take this position, but they clearly have been overruled. So between Kash Patel and Bongino, you really do have I'm trying to think of another agency where you have two such Trump loyalists at the very top in positions 1 and 2, and of course the impacts of that then on law enforcement. We've already seen the breakdown of the firewall between the Trump White House and the Justice Department. The FBI will play a critical role in the implementation of whatever it is that Donald Trump wants to have done in terms of law enforcement.
So, yeah, I mean, they clearly have some strong opinions on him.
They don't like him. That's but that's why I chose this video. This is exactly why I chose, because I like to play devil's advocate. So I'm going to play devil's advocate, but go for it. Tell me what you think. Do you like him more now that you've seen that video?
Well, I certainly don't like him less, just because I'm quite familiar with how the media still has some Trump deranged syndrome going on. I think. I feel like, again, do I like the guy? No. Does he seem like a blowhard? No. But what the fuck do I know? What the fuck does anybody know who's really complaining about it, right? If you're, the vast majority of people on their couch have no clue what the, deputy director of the FBI does. At the end of the day, you got to give someone enough rope to hang themselves. I mean, you can't. I get part of it's just politics, and you gotta, part of it you gotta, shake your fist no matter what happens, no matter who gets appointed. I just find it sort of like exhausting. Like what, one of the things we talk about a lot here is this trying to get away from politics as usual, and I mean it's just politics as usual. And the Republicans will do the same thing to when a Democrat president makes his appointments, and I'll find it just as stupid, and I'll roll my eyes. There's no point in stressing about this, because he's going to do what he's going to do. I mean, they did say it's normally an experienced FBI agent. Okay, if that's the case, then maybe they should have thought about that, but clearly they didn't. And so that said, let's hopefully the media moves on to something a little more important here soon. What's your take? I assume that you like the guy.
I'm indifferent.
Yeah. Are you familiar with him?
Oh yeah. I've listened to his podcast. I've listened to some of the stuff that he says. Now, do I agree with owning the libs? No, I don't agree with statements like those, but at the same time, fuck off, MSNBC. How many times have you been okay with censoring the right? So don't give me this shit. Don't play the we're victims, and fuck you. Like you've done the same thing as he said, and I disagree, or like I disagree with both of your tactics. I think you both, everybody on the mainstream media is full of shit because they choose to report, and I'm gonna air quote the shit out of this. They choose to show their bias instead of reporting the news, because at the end of the day, there's one thing that's for sure: Trump is extremely strong on loyalty. Like him, hate him, as a leader, you want to appoint people that are loyal to you.
Oh, sure.
Who can disagree? Like, who can disagree with it? Let's forget who Trump is and look at a leader. Who do they appoint as their main team? People that they trust, that has shown that can be trusted. Makes fucking sense to me. Love or hate Trump, it just makes fucking sense what he's doing. Like or hate Dan Bongino, he's always been a very big fervent of Trump. So does it make sense or not to the left? Of course not. But at the same time, the left did not call out the left when Biden chose a DEI hire like Kamala Harris. Like, fuck off. You know what I'm saying? This is the thing. They always have a very strong opinion. They're always, that's why there's such an expression that I use all the time. And it's one of my favorite hashtags on all social media platforms: liberal tears. This is what I hear all the time. We should make a juice out of it and sell it, because there's probably money to be made with this, because there's a lot of liberal tears out there. But here's the truth. Is he a conservative podcaster? Absolutely, no questions about it. But he was law enforcement. I believe that he was NYPD.
It's
if
he
I'm
was
not
NYPD
mistaken,
and Secret Service. So I mean,
he's an ex-secret agent,
Yeah.
Secret Service agent. So
Yep.
he could look at what the DEI crap that happened there and just say, we got a problem there. Now,
yeah, that's right. It's not like he's just a podcaster.
It's not like he's me that has no experience whatsoever outside of podcasting when it comes
And then
to
going to be
law
an
enforcement.
assistant FBI director.
The thing is, though, they keep on saying that he should have been an FBI, a career FBI agent. No, that's the whole point. People are still not getting what Trump is trying to do. Trump is not a politician. He's a business guy. If you have a business that's been ran for years a certain way, and you can see that there's issues in that business, what do? You hire an outsider to look at that fucking business with clean eyes, with people, with somebody that is not part of the process, that does not understand what the process is, so that people can explain it to him. Like Dan Bongino is going to sit down with the heads of the FBI. They're going to say, okay, why do we do what we do? Explain. If you can't convince him that you're doing the right thing, you're full of shit. You're not doing the right thing. And I believe that this is what they're scared of. They're scared of, just like what you're seeing in Doge right now. People are being, there's something that they were talking about this last week, how Doge is requiring government workers to provide an email with 5 points as to what they do for their job. People are outraged. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I had to do those reports for my job all the time. That just shows me how you're collecting money while not being that smart. If that's what outrages you, you've never had a boss call you up on this shit before? Like, are you kidding me? So having a guy like Dan Bongino show up and shake things up, is it a good thing? Absolutely, I think it is. Now, I'm not saying that he's the right man for the job. I don't know enough about him. But as you said earlier, he's loyal to Trump. But I want to give him the rope to hang himself or to excel. Either way. But, there's one thing that I find very fucking interesting about all of this. And I found a couple of articles that I wanted to share with you guys. So first, we talked about this. I believe it was here. I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was with you. It was with you and Jason that we spoke about this. But, remember the assassination attempt that happened in Butler, Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
The FBI, which should be investigating, the Secret Service should be investigating the lack of coordination that happened with all those enforcement agencies that allowed a nobody to show up on a rooftop with a gun and shoot somebody that was running for president. The last update on their website is July 14, 2024. I was checking this out this morning. That's the last update of the FBI. What do we know about what was his name? Thomas Matthew Crooks. Sorry, nothing. We still don't know who he was, where he came from, how was he able to do this. So this is my point. That's the FBI's job, is to investigate this shit. They should be aware. We don't have an update for more than 6 months. That's more than 7 months now. We still don't have an update for what's going on there. And there's another article that I found that, oh shit, did I forget? Oh, that's a shame. Hold on. I think I have it somewhere. Because I use different, right here. It's right here. So I use multiple different browser. I don't use just one browser. I use 3 browsers when I do research. Google, I'll use something called Brave, and I use something like called DuckDuckGo, because if you're trying to look for stuff on Google, it will force you to look at what they believe is the best result. They will index the best websites that they believe is the best. And we all know that Google is very biased in what they're going to show you. You look at a Brave or a DuckDuckGo as a browser, they just look at what the best result for your query is, however indexing is. So I was looking because I remember hearing about this, but this is about the FBI. So remember, Trump would talk about this all the time, how Joe Biden had weaponized the FBI against him, right? Like that is something that he talked about for a very long time. And what mainstream media doesn't talk about is that there has been a lot of whistleblowers that came from the FBI. They were FBI agents, and they would state that, and see here, I quote right here, that several terminated leaders routinely use their office for partisan purposes. This should never happen. You should not be partisan of anything. You should just be doing what's right. Sorry, doing what's right.
Yeah, I mean,
but hold on. But those guys have gone in front of Congress to talk about this. Like, there's a guy here, Marcus Allen. You have another one here, Garrett O'Boyle. So there's a bunch of FBI agents that have been in front of Congress to say that there had some of their leaders, so the people leading the FBI, had used the FBI as something to investigate partisanship, something they didn't necessarily agree with because they're Democrats. Like, this is the whole point, right? The whole point is to say that this should not be based on partisan. This should not be, the FBI is not supposed to be a Democrat entity or a Republican entity. It's supposed to work for the people of the United States. Yeah. At the end of the day, this is the goal of such government entities, right? It should not be about, I shouldn't be able to tell who you support based on if you're leading this. Should I really be able to say who you represent by the decision that you took? Don't forget who appointed you. Yes, obviously Trump appointed the FBI director and now the deputy director. Of course, that's the job of the president to do so. But at the end of the day, should it matter in the decisions that they take, which president elected or put them into office? No, it shouldn't.
So I mean, no, you're right, and I think you talk about you mentioned media bias, and I think what a lot of people, especially on the left, think is bias is just about what you say, but it's also about what you don't say, and what you leave out. And I think, when you see things like, it's clear that like the media is going after Donald Trump and every single thing they think is a mess-up. But where was that when Biden was president? Do you remember how Biden was so protected by the media, especially leading up to the debate? They said he was so sharp behind the scenes. They said, like, they kept coming. It wasn't even just sources were saying he was sharp. It was the media themselves. I remember, like, Brian Stelter and the hosts of MSNBC. They're saying, no, when I interviewed him, even behind the scenes, he was sharp. And that's bullshit. We know it wasn't, because, we could see on X, we could see videos of him going to summits all over the world and basically needing to be handled, needing to have his hand held as he walked around so he didn't walk into a closet. He's going up and like shaking hands with a cactus or whatever. I mean, not obviously literally, but I'm exaggerating a little bit. But that kind of stuff, we all saw videos of that. And media just pretended it didn't happen. They pretended that it wasn't a thing. And then the debate came, and it was obvious that this is a man who, I mean, probably should be in long-term care home, right? Probably should be in, like, not that, and that's not a partisan thing. He's an old man. He has dementia, pretty clearly. So, but the point is they never once touched that. And not only that, but they actually ran cover for him, and they kept lying for him. And so, as a liberal, as a lefty, when I see that, I'm like, well, what the fuck is that all about? Because you're trying to tell, like, how can we trust you? I don't think the media has realized how badly that they have destroyed their own trust. Obviously nobody on the right has any trust with them, but even on the problem is the media it seems like they made a decision over the last 10 or 20 years that all the cultural power rests with the political left. And therefore we don't need to do anything to please the right. We don't need to even attempt to be fair. As long as we're pleasing the left, then we will do well, because the left is where all the cultural power is. Now, that was clearly a stupid mistake, because anyone who understands the history of cultures in society knows there's a constant shift. Yes, the left has been ascendant culturally over the last 20, 30 years, but that's clearly changed. I mean, the right is now ascendant, and the left's cultural power is diminishing, and the media has made a really unwise bargain, because now people on the left don't even trust them. So trust in the media is at something like, I don't know, 20% or 15%. It's like historically low. And to go just briefly to the question of the day is the question about, is the media, what was it again? How did you frame that?
It's right at the bottom of the screen, but basically, is the woke media hold on, how did I actually...
Oh, here it is. Here it's coming up. Is
Yeah.
woke mainstream media in trouble? Well, yeah, okay, very clearly. There is a way forward. There's a redemption story here. There's a path back, but they need to start doing what they were supposed to be doing the entire time. They need to start just fucking reporting the news without fear or favor. Don't tell me what to think. Just give me the information and I can make up my own mind.
Yeah, but this is clearly not happening. This is
No,
clearly not going to
no,
happen anytime soon. And funny enough, you're kind of giving me the perfect segue into the second story, because that's exactly, it's proving that this is not really happening, or at least if it's happening, the left is not happy about this. And this is, it's pretty funny because we're going to be talking about Joy Reid, which is one of the wokest of the woke on the left. Everything, the video I got is so funny. I was laughing my ass off when I found it, because they're saying exactly what I was saying this morning. And I recorded a video about this, and then I play this. I'm like, wow. I'm like agreeing with everything they're going to say on this video for the exact same reason that they're using. But I do wonder if the left is going to wake up, because if they don't, they're in serious trouble. Like,
I agree.
serious trouble, because they're still, it seems that they're doubling down. And I really hope that they started, because one of the things that I've noticed with the woke is that the snake woke, if you imagine that the wokeism is a snake, the snake has been biting its own tail for a while now. Yep. But now the tail is halfway in, and it's basically like literally
swallowed. Yeah.
And if they don't wake the fuck up, they're in a really big trouble, because we're going to lose completely a side of the story. Like, agree with the left or not, agree with the right or not, you need to consume both sides.
You need a balance
in order to, exactly. And nobody is destroying the left except themselves. And this is where it's problematic. So let's watch this video. And I fucking love the title. The title of the video was Joyless Joy Reid. Joyless Joy Reid is out. I thought this.
She's been one of my favorite lefties losing it, and by favorite I mean she gives me
she's the worst.
So much material. Just I could do a segment on her almost daily.
Too.
She's now been sacked by low-rating MSNBC, and there are rumors that Biden's former White House spokesperson Jen Psaki could be replacing her. What can you tell us about this move? She absolutely has been a standout, I've got to say, Joy Reid. Some of the stuff she has said on air beggars belief.
Yeah, Joyless Joy Reid is one of my old childhood friends likes to refer to her. It's funny. Joyless Joy Reid was actually basically a free infomercial every night, Rita, for us at the Article 3 Project, because she makes my Article 3 Project colleague Mike Davis out to be the Rasputin here in America. There, it was truly just free advertising. So, frankly, from our organizational perspective, I am just genuinely sad to see her go. I'm also sad to see her go for the reason that you alluded to, which is that this woman was just so positively unhinged. You never knew exactly what she was going to say next, but you knew that it was going to be
great content. She makes for great content.
Bat crap crazy there. I suspect that Jen Psaki is going to be liberal, obviously, but not quite as over the top, hyperbolic, playing the race card every night, all this stuff there. So unfortunately, I think it's going to be a little bit less entertaining to hate watch, so to speak, there. But, hopefully Joyless will resurface somewhere across the interwebs, because I can't wait to tune into her next unhinged monologue, wherever that may be.
Well, I hope she saves some venom for MSNBC, particularly if they replace her with a white woman.
Because, if it's a white woman.
If you listen to Joy's monologues, that is a sign of racism, institutional racism. So I hope we're going to just get all the dirty laundry Ed. Everything that's been going on behind the scenes at MSNBC. I look forward to hearing about it. Josh,
It's a great video, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm really starting to like Sky News more and more because they do pieces like that. They're shameless. I fucking love it.
Well, I mean, I know it probably seems on the right that the left is just full of fucking nutcases and everybody's crazy, but it really isn't that. That isn't really the case. There's a lot of people who just either like are militantly against it, like aggressively pushing back, like I am. But there's a whole chunk who are just, they know it's bullshit. They know it's nonsense. They don't really believe it. They don't want to go along with it, but they just don't know what else to do. And so they just keep their mouth shut, right? Tribalism. We've talked about this before. This is my tribe. You know, I may not agree with them, but I got it. You know, it's my tribe. And, you know, there are sane lefties out there. You know, there are common sense lefties who are not fucking retarded, and go along with what is becoming a just extreme far left ideology. Just the mainstream of the political left has moved so far right, but that is also being led. Yes, that's correct. Yeah, far left, but that's being led by the activists. That's not the majority of the people. Most people are just, you know, the left has not had any splinters, any schisms or any split offs the way the right has. Right, you've got the libertarian right, you've got the religious right, you know, the business right. There's very distinct political identities within the right. The left does not have that. It's just got the left. And so until that happens, and I actually think that's happening now. I think there is some of these schisms are happening, and you're going to see over the next couple of years, you're going to see some of these groups are going to become more distinct. But right now, and up for the last couple of decades, the left has just been one giant monolith. And so if you don't agree with a couple things, or even, you know, a lot of things, there is nowhere else to go other than the right, you know, and that for, you know, just again, for the tribalism thing, that's just not going to be palatable to a lot of liberals and lefties. So, you know, we're kind of stuck, but there's a lot of people who are like that newscaster there on the left who sort of roll their eyes when they see a lot of this nonsense. And Joy Reid really was the worst, like the worst of the worst. Like, I can't believe she had a mainstream media job like MSNBC. I mean, that alone made, and MSNBC as a network shifted, like it shifted the entire network to the left just by having her on there. Like, she was pretty extreme. It's great to see her go.
You know, I as much as people are on the right are super happy to see her go, I just think it's hilarious because she basically killed herself.
Oh,
you can't go day in, day out and blame racism for every single problem that you have in your life when you're making millions of dollars complaining day in, day out
about racism.
Yeah, that woman is the picture of irony, and she is the picture of the woke left. So for her to kill herself, because this is the thing, like I should have looked, but if you're part of Thread, like you know what Thread are. Thread is, right?
Yeah.
So I'm on Thread. I post there every day, but I also use Thread to get an idea of where the woke left is, because Thread is,
oh, is it super left?
Twitter. Oh, Jesus. There's no such thing as there's a few people that are right like me, but most people on there is left as shit. And if you saw, like, you're just looking, this is Joy Reid. Like, this is not a thread about Joy Reid. This is just me opening up my thread.
That's just the timeline.
See, Joy Reid.
Are they losing it?
Oh, 100%.
Oh no, our queen, our beautiful black queen.
And you know, they all believe the agenda that it's all about race, it's all this, it's all that. A lot of people, you know what they're saying? A lot of people on the left are saying that she's getting censored because Trump is in power. But this is where they're going. They're not accepting the fact that, and you know what I did this morning? I did something called research. Like, I used my critical thinking out, and I'm like, hey, maybe I'm gonna go look before I start blaming everybody else around Joy Reid. I did a really crazy thing. Like, it's insane. I chose to do research. I chose to check. You know what came to mind? I'm like, I wonder if maybe it had nothing to do about race, and maybe her show sucked so
her
much
ratings are through the
that
shitter.
Her ratings were down the shitters. You know what I found? a super leftist website that
Yeah.
actually explained exactly what happened. So here are the actual
Okay.
numbers that we're right
Let's
now
see.
seeing. And I'm sorry, it has a lot of ads on there, but right here. So basically, the name of the article: Joy Reid's MSNBC shows canceled as ratings plummet. And right here is where it explains. So basically, it says that over the last year, January was their lowest ratings in history, and amongst the 25 to 54 demography. So this is the most important one that they can have.
Yep.
And yet it's at the lowest in history. And if you continue scrolling, they have a great explanation right here. So it turns out that MSNBC essentially lost nearly half of its 25 to 54 audience compared to this time last year, continuing a 65% slide.
The fact of the matter is, those numbers are so bad. The only
but hold on.
All right,
in prime time, which her show was at 7 p.m., the cream of the cream when it comes to show air. If you have a show at 7 p.m., you're making money, right? So in prime time, the network's numbers are down 41% since last year. When it comes to programming delivered during the day, the percentage dip was the same. So it's not just her. MSNBC as a whole is going down the toilet, and that is why they got a new fucking president that is, and she's a woman, by the way, just so you know. She's not a woman hater like I am. She's not a man.
Yes, of course.
She's not a misogynic man.
Yes, she doesn't hate men.
A woman. And let's agree here, MSNBC does not hire conservative women. So you know leftist, but you know what she did? Another thing that's probably fucking outrageous. She looked at the numbers. She's like, what are our prime time? How do we compare to other stations like Fox?
And then saw that.
Why are we down the shitter? Oh shit, we got a Race Bader right here. That's all she can talk about. She's in the prime spot. Guess what happened? Let's replace her by a white woman.
when you see those numbers, I mean, it seems clear to me race is involved. But probably in the other way, if she was white, she probably would have been fired long ago with those numbers. The fact that she was black is probably why she was kept on so long. And you know,
that's racist. You're fucking racist.
One of the things we've talked about.
Hey, bro, why don't you like women? Why don't you like black women?
Why don't so racist, right?
So
but
racist.
The left would seriously, I mean, we're obviously joking, but the left would call me actually racist for that, even though it's just factual. I mean, you know, one of the main sort of themes we constantly hit on here is this vibe shift that's been happening, and this is again another sign of it. And this shows that it's not just a vibe shift; it's the vibe is a reflection of an actual attitude shift. There's actual culture. Yeah, a culture shift. Exactly. That is what's going on. And the vibe shift is just a reflection of that. And because at the end of the day, you know, people can say whatever, but ratings don't lie. Numbers don't lie. People are just watching less of it. And I think a lot of the people on the left that are starting to get sick of it, some of us are starting to have the impression that a lot of this race baiting stuff is actually the primary cause of most racism in society today. And you look at Joy Reid, she needed racism. She had a deep need for racism in order to promote her show, right? So she's making millions of dollars. I mean, I've heard the saying, you know, the supply of racism or the demand for racism on the left far exceeds the supply. So they have to generate racism. They have to make racism. They have to make everything racism. And when you see stuff like that, it's hard to disagree with that, because the people like Joy Reid, they need everyone to think that racism exists everywhere we look, so that they can keep hosting their shows, making millions of dollars, telling us about how racist everything is. So I think it's a step in the right direction. The fact that some people are complaining and being like, oh, she's fired because she was black, like, grow the fuck up. Nobody believes
she only had a job because she was black. So technically, MSNBC is racist. And I've made videos about this in the past. MSNBC is so racist that they kept a black woman on their prime time spot, even though she was failing in the ratings.
Well, if she was white,
probably
she would have been canned for sure.
Of course she is, but now she's being replaced by a white woman. That is hilarious to me. The snake is down.
It's eating itself.
Yup.
And Joy's gonna be pounding that drum on her social media accounts for sure.
As the girl said in
Yeah.
Sky News, that is something. This is what I liked about that, is that I did not think about that angle. When
That
she
angle, yeah,
said it,
that's really funny.
I'm like, it's so fun because at the end of the day, as much as I see races like anybody else, and I'm not ashamed to admit it, if you're the best person for the job, you're the best person for the job. Until I saw that video, I never realized, like, I never thought in my head that because she's replaced by a white woman, this will be perceived by the left as racist. Because I don't think that. If
Normal
you're the
people
best
don't
person,
think that way, right? Normal
that's
people
my
don't think
point.
that way. Yeah.
But until I saw that video, I'm like, oh shit, how did I not think that? But I don't think that way in everyday
No,
life.
and
Why
most
would
normal
my
people
brain
don't.
go there? But she's gonna.
She does. Oh,
She's made,
absolutely, she does.
she's made a career on race
Yeah.
baiting.
A
This is going to be a beautiful thing to hear her complain about how racist MSNBC is for replacing her by a white woman, but she will never address the fact that the only reason she had a job in the first fucking place is because she was black.
Yeah, I mean, she made a career out of training people to see race in every single thing. And the thing is, if you see race everywhere you look, like if you center race in every single interaction and aspect of society, of course you're going to see racism everywhere. But how does that help society? And the other thing it does is it actually harms actual racism, because there is real racism still out there. But when everything is racism, then nothing is racism, right? So it's a self-defeating philosophy and worldview. And I guess in some ways it's surprising it took so long for people to be such a strong backlash against it. But I guess, better late than never.
When
We'll have to
about
follow her socials tonight and see what she's saying, because that she's got she's gonna let loose. She's just building up all her righteous anger.
Of course she is. But
Oh, yeah.
when I read this yesterday, I kind of laughed because I have created a lot of content around her. So what they were saying on Sky
It's
News,
true, right?
I'm like, damn, that's true. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna lose. But then my mind went automatically to The View. I'm like, should they be worried now?
Ooh, interesting. I think the girls might be. I think like the show itself will stick around, but what might happen is they might try, because right now, what's the formula? 3 super far left libs and then 1 kind of moderate conservative who plays
a leftist conservative.
Yeah, who plays like the token.
She's not a conservative.
Yeah, not an actual one.
She's not even a real one. So.
Yeah.
But they've been going on, I think, 22 years, like something like that, like something around 2 decades. So, but when I saw that, I'm like, ooh, ABC. I'm like, are they going to start looking at the ratings of The View
Actually,
and see if there's something better?
I'd be interested to see what the ratings are of The View.
The ratings are actually pretty solid from what I
Okay.
could see. Like, yeah, because they're in the middle of the day, right? So
Yeah.
their audience is literally white women that
They're
have
baked
too many
in.
cats.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, like 65-year-old cat ladies that
yes,
are
yes.
not working.
The awful,
those are
affluent white liberal women. Yeah.
That is exactly correct. So it's their show. I don't see it going anywhere, and I don't know that I want that show to go away because, man, I create a lot of content around there. So
No, I mean that's the that's like the giving tree. That's the gift that keeps on giving. If you create content mocking idiotic and far left woke lib ideas.
But it's even more than that. It's, I like to know what people that don't think like me are thinking about. And if I look at the audience of The View, and this is why I'm always interested when your mother listens to this, because your mother is technically who the target audience of The View is.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
60-ish white woman that has
liberal
money, that's not struggling, that's just like, she has a good life. She's able to watch their garbage during the day. That's
exactly.
basically the target audience. I assume that your mother is in that demography. So I find it very funny because my mother is 100% in that, and she agrees with those women. So it's even worse. But the point is, she is their audience. So I want to know what they're thinking. I want to be able to watch videos of The View and just say, really? Because just like the Skynet video, it did not occur to me how upset the left would be because MSNBC replaced Joy Reid by a white woman. This never occurred to me because I don't think that way. But when I look at The View, if I want to know what old liberal women are thinking, I watch The View. And then I'm like, oh, fuck, we are really fucked. Good thing that they're old and that they're going to lose their minds soon, or they already have.
Yeah.
We can argue on that one all we want, but I always like to know what other people are thinking to try to remind me why I do what I do. And The View is like, as you said, it's the tree that keeps on giving.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, I mean, and that's just a good worldview to have, no matter where you sit. To listen to other people's opinions, even if you know you're not going to agree with them. Again, that's one of the big flaws, I think, of the left right now, is their inability to do that.
And that's exactly why this morning the video I wanted to show about Dan Bongino was from MSNBC. I wanted to go get somebody that would make fun of them. I did not want to have somebody from Fox that would be funneling that would be playing with the balls and rubbing the shaft the whole way through.
Yeah.
I wanted to show how ridiculous the left is, because they'll never call that bullshit on their own people. And I'm not saying that it's the same for that Fox is any better. It's just that it's a right-leaning guy. I wanted to show the left-leaning opinion just to show how fucking ridiculous we are. But on that note, I found a video, and I don't remember if we were talking on air about this or was it before we started recording, but I've been asked to over last Saturday and Thursday to watch CPAC. We talked about CPAC on Friday because I liked the way that they were talking about we need to go back to masculine men. We need to stop shaming them. You and I are both our political crush is JD Vance. So we're, if there's a dick we will suck, it is his. And so I was able.
It's not gay. It's only one.
Is it gay if we're both on him at the same time? That's the question. We have to share. I know, right? But I got to listen to a lot of CPAC, and they're conservative, and there's a lot of things I've agreed on. There's a lot of things I disagreed. And you guys, I can tell you right now, I got a video. If Jason, you're listening to this, I got a video for you that will piss the shit out of you on Wednesday. That's based on something that was said on CPAC that even I was listening to this and I'm like, what the fuck are they talking about?
What was it? Or are you going to save it?
Oh no, it's already chopped off, ready to go for Wednesday. Like I spent a lot of time this weekend finding videos for this show this week. And one of the videos, like, I'm a very strong voice for health. I've always been healthy. I've always taken care of my health. I've always been sure that I eat properly. I do a lot of fasting. I've been hitting the gym for at least 20 years. I weigh my food. I'm the type of person that spends time outside in the sun. Like, I understand that there's a lot more to be done in preventative care than there is to dealing with the problems of being healthy. I always talk about the fact that you can't be mad that you feel sick if you treat your body like a fucking dumpster. So I talk about this stuff all the time. And there was a guy, they had a panel. It ran about 20 minutes. I shortened it to maybe 12 minutes long. That's how good the panel was. I was just looking for the good stuff. But it was Dr. Malone, a guy that is not liked by the left media. He's a conspiracy theorist, this and that. He's been called all the names possible. And I believe, I will research it as we're playing the video, but I believe the owner of Epoch Times in Canada, they explain MAHA, Make American Healthy Again, and what RFK Jr. and Trump are trying to accomplish with MAHA. It is the best explanation I've seen up to now. It's absolutely fucking brilliant. I'm telling you right now, guys, it is about 10 to 12 minute long. But I'm telling you, like, the video, if you want to understand what MAHA is about, what they're trying to accomplish, and who the players are, this video is brilliant. We will obviously stop it. We'll provide opinions on it. But all I'm saying is brilliant, absolutely brilliant video. So here we go.
Robert Malone, one of the most... Yeah, everybody! Bring it up for Dr. Robert Malone.
Shit, the video's loud. I'm just lowering
Probably
it.
one of the
I just said lower
best-known
myself.
contrarian voices during the COVID pandemic, arguing for rational policy during the pandemic.
Okay, hold on. Before we do this, YouTube, this show is entertainment purposes. We don't believe in anything that Dr. Malone is talking about. Obviously, that guy's full of shit.
We love vaccines.
He
and
has
boosters.
no clue. If you're not on your 10th booster by now, you're wrong,
Yeah.
says the unvaccinated guy. Just saying. But this video is for entertainment purposes, and the view of Dr. Malone and Jan Jekielek are their own. And yeah, this is a comedy show, so let's go.
Pandemic. Who here noticed that the new HHS secretary is Robert F. Kennedy Jr.? Two things happened that day. First, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was sworn in, and second, there was an executive order signed by President Trump that established a commission to look at child chronic disease. A 1-2 punch that, in our view, is kind of revolutionizing the future of health. Robert.
I agree. So what is this thing, MAHA? Make America Healthy Again. What does that really mean? Those of us that have kind of been in the sausage-making process have a pretty good sense. But let's go to what President Trump has defined as MAHA in this amazing executive order. And what he's laid out, the mission he's laid out for my friend, your friend too, Bobby Kennedy, this amazing new secretary of HHS that, I mean, can you believe this? He's both a bodybuilder and a biohacker. That's what we have as our secretary.
And this is correct, right? If you look at, and I got another video afterwards from a conversation between Joe Rogan and Woody Harrelson. They weren't talking about that. It's just, it was recorded last week, and I'm like, oh shit, those two connect so well together. But once you want the person recommending health or doing health recommendation to look like he's actually taking care of himself, like, should that not be the way forward? Like, do you want a massive obesity doctor that can't actually get up without without breathing heavy? Like, sorry, Brad, but it's like the fat guy, the fat personal trainer at the gym that tries to give you advice.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Brad, like, come on.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the argument someone could say, you know, just play devil's advocate is like, oh, well, it doesn't matter if they take their own advice. What matters is the advice. But in the real world, you know, from a branding, marketing, and effectiveness perspective, of course, that's how people think. You know, why would I listen to this fat fuck? You know what I mean? What does he have to tell me about health that I don't already know?
Why do you hate fat people?
It's fat phobic. That's actually a word that they'll say, fat phobic, as if it's a real thing. No, nobody hates fat people. We just recognize that it's unhealthy, and you know, people probably shouldn't be if they can help it because it's unhealthy. But other than that, you know, if you want to be fat, nobody cares.
As long as you don't make it my problem.
Well, exactly. And I might not take health advice from you.
Might,
you know,
as in I won't.
Yeah,
I probably
exactly.
will laugh if you try to give me tips at the gym, but you have more titties than a woman.
Exactly, right? That is
Right.
how that is how human beings work. So I guess in that regard, you know, there is value in having as the person giving advice on health, someone who seems like they themselves are healthy. There's value in that.
Agreed.
And so what is MAHA? A key factor in this is a refocusing of the entire government health enterprise from a focus on disease treatment to a focus on health promotion. And I really recommend that all of you take a moment to read President Trump's executive order creating the MAHA Commission, which is across government. It even includes Treasury. It's an amazing document in which he talks about the crisis of health in America, the crisis of chronic disease in America, but in particular, it zeroes in on Bobby Kennedy's sweet spot, protecting the health of children in America. It talks.
So for the people out there, if you don't know, America and Canada are very close when it comes to those statistics. So I can use North America. You're looking at about 42% of North Americans are obese. 30% of them, give or take, are overweight. So we're looking at 72%, give or take, of people that are unhealthy. And they say studies shows that less than 25% of people have enough exercise per week, which is just a few hours of exercise. We're not talking you're working out for 40 hours here, for a few hours a week. And another statistic for you, as a child, if you have one parent that is obese, you have a 50% chance of you yourself being obese. And if you are someone, if you're a child with two parents that are obese, you're looking at 90% chances of being obese yourself.
Crazy,
And
eh?
and one of the things that I've spoken about a lot, especially on Instagram, that I will voice here, is the fact that if it is bad, if it is something, if parents should not beat their kids, and obviously parents shouldn't beat their kids, this is abuse. So is having a child that is obese, because it is your fault, 100% your fault.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
your
yeah.
children are obese because you are obese yourself, or you are letting them being obese, that's child abuse. This should be criminal. You should face criminal consequences for allowing your children to be obese, because one of the things that I've learned in life is it is a lot easier to start with healthy habits than to actually build bad habits, than having to realize that you're unhealthy, break those habits to then start healthy habits. You have to start from so far back, and that is 100% on the fault of the parents, because children don't know better. So if your children are obese, it is your fucking fault, and you should be held accountable for your actions.
Yeah, I mean, there's really no. I mean, I don't agree that they should be criminalized, but I certainly agree with some form of public shaming or just a taboo nature. Yeah, that's funny. Fat shaming.
Hold on,
No.
hold on. I just need to. I'm just that. There you go. Dang, you guys fat shaming now. You hit a new low. Hey, imagine if she was a fat woman.
Oh, who? Joy
In
Reid?
Rob's
Ooh.
in Rob's case, imagine it was a fat black woman.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
No.
Well, it's funny. I actually did a tweet the other day, sort of making fun. It was like this article, and it said, "What should we rename?" Or researchers saying we should rename obesity, the word obese. We should rename that to avoid shaming fat people. And it's like, what is this obsession with just changing words? I don't understand where, like, whatever you like, obese. The word obese was the word that we use to not offend fat people, and now that word needs to be changed so that we don't offend fat people. Like, it's like society is trying, or at least the left is trying everything other than just the most obvious solution, which is encourage people to be healthy. You don't need to fat shame people, of course, but what actually, like, no one's talking about bullying people, right? That's not what we're talking about. But the fact of the matter is, shame serves a useful social purpose. It turns out that shame actually has value in a society, and we're not talking about bullying. We're talking about the fact that maybe you're, morbidly obese, and you find that you can't get a date, or people sort of look at you a little side-eyed, or they, they laugh a bit behind your back. That's unfortunate. That sucks. But I've heard too many stories of people on Twitter and X who have been fat and now are not, and they have said it was that shame that I felt that pushed me to do it. This nonsense, like militant acceptance of every single vice, as if everything is equally valid. Every lifestyle, every experience is bullshit. It's wrong, and it hurts people, right? So you've got these fat people, and they're still going to be. They're never going to feel happy with themselves, even if you tiptoe around them and rename as many things as you want. Because all the negative effects, your health, the way you feel, the way you move, the fact that you're really limiting your dating pool, all those things are going to be in effect whether we change the name or not. So rather than trying to just, it's almost like the left, rather than they'll see like someone has an issue, and rather than try to encourage that person to work on that issue, they'll try to change all of society around them to make it so that thing is no longer an issue. And that's both impossible and ridiculous and extremely inefficient. And it's like, just focus on the issue at hand.
Couldn't agree with you more, man. We definitely agree on that one. It's good for you. I don't even have anything to add to that because I agree with you.
Yeah,
I completely agree with you.
Well, it's one of those 80s.
Shame can serve a purpose, especially when it's self-produced.
Yeah,
like it's on you.
Yeah,
it's on you. Like
you talked last episode about getting bullied, and you sort of kind of took it when you were a kid, and that caused you to go get into the gym, go into martial arts. Part of that was probably that shame feeling, that feeling of like, fuck, why didn't I do anything? That's valuable. That's valuable. And now looking back at it, are you sitting there being like, oh no, I was shamed? Or are you sitting thinking, thank fuck for that shame, because that pushed me to go out and improve myself and fix myself? And it's so much of what on the left, it's like, it's just encouraging mediocrity and penalizing excellence. And you see that everywhere you look.
We agree, man. Let's continue.
Yep.
It talks about child's health. It talks about the epidemic we have now of all kinds of chronic diseases, including autism in our children. And it talks about the over-medication with Ritalin and all these other drugs. We're basically drugging our children into obedience and oblivion using these agents, getting them to be complacent in the schools so they don't cause trouble, making it easier to control them. That has got to stop. And that is the mission of the Make America Healthy Again movement, is to, within 12 to 18 months, this is the president's mandate, within 12 to 18 months, Bobby Kennedy has got to show measurable improvements in public health for American citizens. Now that is a tall order. And to do that, he's got to let loose, frankly, he's got to let loose the dogs of war. He's got to let loose the whole federal bureaucracy, transform it, and take this new leadership team that he's created under Donald Trump's direction and completely radically transform CDC, FDA, NIH, work with his partners at USDA to enable the health of Americans, and particularly the health of Americans' children. Let's talk.
No, there's a lot there. There's a lot of meat on that bone there. I thought, I mean, one thing that I really like what he just said, and this is sort of towards what we've talked about, just sort of common sense politics. And I think why there are some people who are, the Trump and Vance administration are winning some people over. There was nothing political about what he just said. He's talking about healthy kids, but then he said there's accountability. He said Bobby Kennedy has a timeline. He's got to show metrics. He's got to, where was any of that in the last 20 years on both sides? I didn't see it from Republicans either. Everyone was so caught up in the culture wars and demonizing the other side. Nobody ever just thought about, hey, what about just actual good governance? What about setting goals based on, goals for the country, and having metrics to see if the people in charge are meeting those goals and holding them accountable if they do not? I mean, that kind of stuff, that's not partisan. That's not political. And if you start seeing stuff like that, there's going to be a lot of converts, I think.
You'll see he gets into something that happened when Republicans weren't paying attention. Like he'll get to it later in the video, but you're absolutely right. I don't see how you can pay attention. Like, forget who Malone is, forget how you feel about that person. Can you really disagree that the NIH, the HHS, the USAID, they shouldn't be all revamped to try to put preventive care at the forefront instead of trying to sell drugs that will make you feel better after? Because he's going to go into that next. But this is the thing. I hope the left can do that. I hope the left can stop looking at who's talking and what their opinion is of that person and just take it for what it is. Just listen to what he's saying. Agree with the guy or not, no problem. But can you really disagree with what he's been saying up to now? I don't see
Well,
it.
yeah, and I mean that's what I guess me and you keep trying to do, is almost sort of to teach a new way of thinking, to because especially on the left. I mean, it is the left who's primarily doing this right now. That is primarily saying, I don't agree with this guy, or the media tells me he's a bad guy, therefore he's a bad guy. I'm not going to do any research. And it's counterproductive. It hurts your movement, it hurts your country, it hurts your society. And it also just suggests that you actually you don't have that much confidence in your own opinions, because if you did, it wouldn't matter if you heard someone who had a different opinion, right? Like I could listen to someone tell me all day that the sky is green. It's not going to bother me, because I feel very strongly when I look out my window that it's blue. And therefore I don't, it doesn't bother me. I don't need to cancel that guy. I might think he's an idiot. I might roll my eyes at him, but I'm not going to refuse to platform him, refuse to talk to him.
That's how it should be, man. That's the whole point of this show, right?
Yeah, exactly.
For a moment about what is public health. We all hear about public health, okay? Today's public health is not about medicine. It's not about the physician-patient relationship. It's not about empowering patients to take control of their own health, which is what we need to do in the day of Maha. What we don't need is top-down management of what you are able to do, what your doctor tells you to do based on the government's mandates and your insurance company's profit. Okay, we have to get back to decentralized health under the control of you, the patient. But what do we have right now in public health? Public health is basically grounded in utilitarianism. It is functionally socialism. It is the logic of the greatest good for the greatest number. That is absolutely the centerpiece of modern public health, and it's based on big data. It's based on big data analysis of what on average is best for you, and then a top-down approach to cause you to comply with what the numbers say under close analysis is best for you. And as a consequence, public health has destroyed the practice of medicine. This is why your docs have no options. They have to treat you based on protocol, because that's what public health is saying they have to do. Public health has taken over medicine. And as I say, it is focused on outcomes, optimizing outcomes, the best outcomes for all of us. What it needs to do is focus on opportunity. What we need to do is enable you to have the opportunity to choose whether or not to optimize your own health and have the information to do it. But what we don't need is public health telling us that we can't eat McDonald's hamburgers and drink Coca-Cola. What we need is the information so that you can make an informed decision about what you eat and what you do to manage your health, not to tell you and micromanage you about what your choices have to be.
And
It's called informed consent.
Yeah. I mean, man, that again, common sense. One thing that's really stuck out to me as we've watched some of these clips from CPAC is how not partisan a lot of these things are. Like, they're not talking about liberals, they're not talking about the other side, they're not talking about culture wars, they're not talking about politics. I mean, they're talking about, JD Vance the other day talked about masculinity, men are in a crisis. I agree with that. A lot of people do. That's not a partisan issue, in my opinion. Here he's talking about health. Again, not a partisan issue, in my opinion. I wonder if there was a liberal equivalent, what that would sound like right now. I bet you'd have speaker after speaker after speaker about talking about how terrible Donald Trump is, how terrible Elon Musk is. There'd be nobody talking about policy, nobody talking about here's what we're going to offer Americans. And I don't know when the left, it seems like it. I feel like I even as recently a couple of years ago, they at least gave lip service to that kind of stuff, but now it's just all culture wars, all partisanship. And the Republicans seem to be the ones who are saying, okay, listen, someone's got to be the adult in the room, and I guess it's going to be us. Right now, I mean, talking about health does seem to be right-wing coded. You know, I mean, we've made the joke with me, you, and Jason about how, you know, there's articles that say, you know, if you like working out, you're a white supremacist. What the fuck is that? Like, these people are idiots. Why is that a partisan issue? And if it is, how stupid are you if you're on the left to allow the right to sort of take ownership of that issue? Because health should not be a partisan issue. It shouldn't be about politics. What he's talking about there. Yeah, I don't want the government telling me I can't eat a Big Mac. For sure, you know, give me some, if there's information I need about that Big Mac, like say, you know, how much fat is in it or calories or whatever, by all means, tell me that. I'd love to have that. But I don't want you to tell me that I can't have it. I don't want the nanny state to and it's like we've talked about free speech before, right? Free speech doesn't mean anything if you don't have the freedom to say things that are unpopular. Free will doesn't mean anything if you don't have the free will to make bad choices. We all make them, and we all need to make them. How scary and terrifying world would it be if government's in there making every tiny decision just to make sure you don't make a bad decision? It's you can see it, like you can almost make a connection between the way governments run and the way parents raise their children. And we haven't talked a lot about in this show, but one of the opinions I have, and I feel like you'll agree with me, is this sort of like helicopter parenting, where parents over the last 20 years seems like, you know, they're constantly involved in their kids' life, making every minor decision. You know, I don't think that's the right parenting style. I think you need to be a bit hands off. You need to let kids make mistakes so they can learn from them. And the same thing is true here. If eating Big Macs is a mistake because I'll get really fat and unhealthy, I need to make that mistake so that I can learn. I don't need the government to hold my hand and tell me what I can and can't eat, what I can and can't do. And this is another thing, it's big divide that you're seeing between the right and left. It seems the left loves government telling everyone what to do. And I like, that's such a left-wing coded thing. And it doesn't need to be. Like, obviously I'm a liberal, I'm a lefty. We can separate traditional classical liberalism from that stuff. That's pretty new. This idea that to be a liberal, you have to want the government to have all, you know, control of all aspects of your life. That really has nothing to do with classical liberalism. And kind of what I'm trying to do on this show is speak out in ways that get people thinking about how to separate those two things.
And you need to understand that wokeism is part of Marxism, like I've said multiple times, and that this leads to communism. This is exactly what they're talking about. And it's interesting because I was listening to you talk, and I made a post this morning, which I've done a lot of research, but did you know that in Canada, 1 out of 4 Canadian works for some type of government, either the federal, the provincial?
I didn't know that.
Or let's just throw some numbers out there, because in another panel of CPAC this weekend, I started talking about this. So the federal government in Canada right now employs more than 365,000 employees. Remember that we are 50 million people. That represents 1%. We are at 0.9% of Canadians work for some type of government. 1% of Canadians. I'm not saying of working Canadian, of Canadians. 1 out of 4 working Canadians work for some type of government entity. The average salary, when you consider salary plus benefits for Canadian federal employees, is $138,856 as per the Fraser Institute, which is a liberal institute.
Yeah.
It gets worse. The average Canadian salary is $67,282.
No, really?
And I wanted to see what the average Canadian salary was if you removed but I couldn't find those numbers. So the average, so remember this, 138,856 is the average salary plus benefit. It's what it costs the tax dollars, the taxpayers to have one employee. That's the average.
Okay.
We make 67,000 on average if you don't work for the no, all included. I would love to see how low that number is if you
Well, yeah, because that number would include all
You're
the
doubling.
federal. It would include the
Exactly.
federal
So
employees,
you-
and that would raise that
if
number.
if 1 out of 4 Canadians work for the government, obviously you're skewing those numbers.
Yeah.
But all to say, and under Trudeau over the past 9 years, just the workforce for the federal government has increased by 40%. 40.4% if you want to be, and that is as per the Public Service Commission of Canada, so a government entity.
Wow.
Can you imagine? So this is my point, right? So what he's talking, and the reason I'm breaking this up is because what he's talking about, imagine how bad it is in the US. Our ratio of government worker per regular people is so much higher in Canada. We're talking 1 out of 4 people that is working Canadian work for some type of government entity, which is fucking insane. That tells you, so imagine that we're running a healthcare system in Canada, and for the Americans out there that think that our healthcare is great, you don't know what you're talking about. It is a broken system that is costing between 30 to 40% of our income tax goes to support healthcare. Yet we have no accountability whatsoever. This is the next step, because what Dr. Malone is talking about can work in the US, but it can't work in Canada unless you have accountability that is put on the person. Because today in Canada, you could be literally obese as hell your whole life, and we will supply you all the medication that you need in order to maintain, right? You're
yeah.
going to still be treated by doctors. You're still going to get insurance from the government. The point is that there's no accountability, which he's not talking about this because it's not government funded the way it is in Canada. It's mostly you need insurance, so the onus falls on you. But in Canada, I would take it even further, that let's say that you're obese, you go see the doctor finds that you have heart problems directly based to your high pressure, directly based because of how you treat your body. They'll give you a year. Let's say that they give you a year to get healthier. Here's here's a list of approved personal trainer. Here's the type of dietitian you could go. If you need to know who to talk to, no problem. We'll help you out. We'll tell you who to go. If you can't pay for it, you know what? We're very socialist in Canada. The money's already there. So agree or disagree with this. That's not what I'm trying to do here. But just to say, let's send those people to go see professionals. If you haven't changed in a year, if you're still not taking your health seriously, we're cutting off your social supplied healthcare, and it falls on you to treat yourself. We don't have that in Canada, so why would people ever change?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting discussion or debate to have. For sure, countries that have universal healthcare like Canada, I think you're right. There does have to be some accountability, because there's a vested interest in having healthy citizens, and I think that's good. That's a situation where the government's interests are aligned with people's interests, if you think of it that way, where the interest is to have a healthy population that benefits a country that has universal health care, because if you have a broadly healthy population, you're going to spend less on healthcare. I don't know about cutting people off, but I agree with the idea. I actually like the idea of some accountability. You know, we provide you with everything that you need. We provide you with your personal trainer, a gym membership. If you think about it in the grand scheme of things, the cost of that program would probably pay for itself a million times over, in the fact of, you know, down the road when these people are not getting triple bypass surgeries all the time, or some version of that. Like, you're going to, there's significant economic benefits to having a healthy population, even, you know, especially when you live in a country that has universal healthcare. But I actually like that idea. Like, you know, like I said, I probably wouldn't agree that they should be kicked off, but some sort of, maybe a tax or a fee or a fine or something to inject a little bit of accountability into the system.
Don't tax people, give them tax incentives.
Yeah.
Reward them. Don't say that if you don't do this, we're going to tax you, because this is the same top to bottom bullshit that the liberals have been pushing forever. Instead, if you
have
check up, you're great.
You hit certain metrics or something.
10% off your taxes at the end of the year. You know, like, I'm just throwing numbers out there, but imagine.
Yeah.
I would rather reward people reward
interesting
people
debate.
for doing something great instead of taxing the unhealthy, because at the end of the day, we're going to support them no matter what. If they don't have the money to pay for it, we're still going to support them, because that's the type of people that Canadians are. But I wasn't trying to make a Canadian case here, but it's just that I like what he's saying. And I think that a lot of other countries out there, just like what they're doing with Doge, that this should happen in every single fucking country out there. This is the type of stuff that should also happen everywhere, where the patient itself is provided with more information and the tools that he need to take informed decisions. And obviously Malone was also talking about the way the US handled COVID.
Yeah,
Like, he doesn't need to say it, but it's pretty fucking obvious that that's what he's talking about. So for the people out there, if you didn't get that, that's actually what he's talking about right now.
The bottom line of this, and think about this, okay? Inalienable individual rights. One of the core things America is based on, a core element of freedom. This approach, this CCP, Chinese Communist Party approach, what happened during COVID? They locked down. They used the totalitarian method. They used the collective rights method. What's apparently going to be better for the greater good. But what happens when you use that collective rights approach? Every time, to paraphrase Stalin here, okay, to make an omelet, you have to break a few eggs. And it turns out to be a lot of eggs, unfortunately. So we got to get back to this approach of individual rights, individual agency, and, the Hippocratic Oath on the medical side.
So there's an insidious thing that's happened. They've snuck some stuff in while Bobby was busy focusing.
Before we go there, that is another thing that I've approached with Dr. Andy Kaufman about how doctors don't seem to be interested in healthy patients. It seems like they're more interested in selling the solution, like selling what's going to keep you okay, instead of doing the preventive care of change your diet, sleep better, get some sun out, like actually preventing the problem. They'd rather sell you, we're air quoting here, a solution. And this is also like, this is not very doctor-like. This, you're not showing interest in your patients if that's what you're doing. And he had a very interesting answer, and we're going to have him on. So we're going to have Andy Kaufman on the podcast over the next few weeks. He hasn't been. He sent me an email just before I jumped on the show.
Yep.
So hopefully we got a date. We'll let you know. But all to say that I asked him this question, and he had a very interesting answer, which I'll make sure to ask him again on the show so that it can be shared here. But one thing's for sure: if you're a doctor, a public servant, if you work for the government, if you're a politician, just like NASCAR, you should have to wear the logo of the people that pay your salary, of the people that are putting money in your pocket, so that we can know who the fuck you actually represent. Who's the people you're standing for?
Yeah. I mean,
Focused on confirmation.
Sorry, man.
No, it's all good. I was basically just going to agree with you.
I love the idea of the NASCAR race. Like,
on politicians.
I want to see who you are actually supporting for real behind close.
And the bigger the logo, the more money you've got. If you got a big Pfizer all the way up and down, well, we know how, now about Bernie, he'd have a little one because he only took 2 million, only took 2.5 million.
They've snuck in a UN Agenda 2030 item called One Health. Okay, the CDC surreptitiously agreed to the One Health policies of the World Economic Forum and the United Nations and the World Health Organization. What is One Health? Who's against One Health? Of course, we all think that animals should be healthy and the environment should be healthy, just like the Secretary was talking about with U.S. policy. But in One Health, your health is equivalent to the health of animals.
I'm going to stop it there, because I just listened to it again just before the show. He's going to go down a rabbit hole that I'm not sure is worth going through right now.
Yeah,
on my other podcast,
he was heading there for sure.
On my other podcast, I I would absolutely love to go down that rabbit hole. But the reason I'm going to stop it is I have to remind myself that I'm trying to keep it somewhere on the common sense, and I
It's
don't
a
feel like
mainstream show,
arguing.
yeah.
No, but it's more than that. Is really, I don't necessarily want to go on rabbit holes that are too deep on each side, and try to bring people together in the middle. Plus, I got another video I wanted to show. Unless you have something to say,
Nope.
there's another video I wanted to show that kind of fits exactly with this,
Okay.
but it comes from almost the broest of the bros, Joe Rogan, and
Yeah,
you
of course.
had Woody Harrelson. I like Woody Harrelson. I don't know why, but I've always liked him.
He's a
Like
likable guy, eh? He just seems like a cool guy.
and they're stoned as fuck. Like you can tell on the video, they're like, their eyes are super small, but what they say about health, I was like, damn, not bad at all. So let's take a look at this video.
Want your doctor looking healthy. You don't want to walk in and see
he's high
some
as shit.
obese, having trouble breathing type of guy.
Yeah.
It's going to give you your advice.
Well, that was one of the most fascinating things about COVID. When I was talking to Dr. Peter Hotez, who's an overweight guy who eats junk food, and he's telling me everybody's got to get vaccinated. I'm like, are you healthy? Like, are you healthy? Because you don't see, do you work out? Like, do you eat well? Do you take vitamins? No. None of those things. But you think that, like, chemicals, that the only way that you're going to get healthy is from a laboratory and
If for the people that might just be the first time they're here, or you don't know my story, I lost my job as a sales engineer because a bunch of obese people at my old job told me I needed to get the vaccination because it was the healthy thing to do. So when I was listening to this, I'm like, yup, I know exactly what you're talking about, Joe. That is exactly what I was thinking when my obese boss told me that we needed to get the vaccine because it was the healthy thing to do, when he hasn't seen his dick in 20 years. So,
I like the look on Joe's face there. It's like, are you healthy? Are you healthy? Because I don't know if it's funny.
an injection. That doesn't seem real. That seems crazy.
Well, the whole notion is to bolster your immune system's response to this specific item, right? But if your immune system's strong,
right,
you really have nothing to fear.
Well,
if
that's
your immune system's weak, you have also a lot to fear by taking a vaccine that can, with this recent one, it actually hurts the immune system. It harms the immune system.
Especially with
at least
repeated
old
doses.
people should get vaccinated. Should old people get vaccinated? I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, the problem was also any sort of, this is Dr. Birx is now admitting this when she's being questioned, is that they stopped any early treatments that weren't the vaccine, and that they probably shouldn't have done that, and that a lot of people could have been saved because of that. And that's true. And then that's something that people need to, that's one of the best aspects of Bobby Kennedy's book, The Real Anthony Fauci, is understand what pressures were put on these organizations to stifle and completely stop the prescription use of a bunch of different things, hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, also the studies.
This is why I thought it was bridging exactly what Dr. Malone was talking about, and it turns out it was recording almost on the same day. Two completely different platform, but I think Dr. Malone's a very well-spoken guy, very intelligent individual. It's just sometimes I like to hear the bro talk about it. It sounds more appealing to the average person that doesn't necessarily want to hear. Yeah. But plus, you look at Joe Rogan, right? He's more my size. He's big, muscular. He's a muscular guy, tattooed guy. He loves martial arts. As much as I disagree with a lot of things that he says, at the same time, I have a lot of respect for him because he's a bro. At the end of the day, he's a bro, but he's extremely researched. He's not talking out of his ass. He knows what he's talking about, especially on this subject. But Jason has talked about the real Fauci
several times,
a lot of times.
Did he say RFK wrote that book? or was that?
Of course, yeah. No.
I
RFK
didn't.
Jr. wrote the
Oh,
book.
I didn't know
Wrote
that.
the book, The Real Fauci.
Oh wow.
This is what is so interesting about this, because he literally wrote a book that showed how he killed so many people because of his AIDS vaccine. And they're going to talk about it in this video, if I'm not mistaken, or it's the other one. But either way, he exposes Fauci, never got sued, never got anything. Now that dude is the head of the HHS.
Wow.
There's
Yeah,
a reason
that's-
why
I mean-
Fauci received a pardon that he accepted on the same day as Trump was getting inaugurated as president, right? It's not a
I mean,
coincidence.
That's true though. Like if he said defamatory things, if what he said in the book is not true, Fauci could absolutely sue him, and I have to imagine he would be suing him, which means, of course, if you connect those dots, the fact that he's not suing him sort of gives him credibility, right? Regardless of what you want to think about RFK, like one of the, the most effective or the best defense against defamation is if it's true. If you cannot sue someone for defamation if it's true, right? And so it makes you wonder, like, if what he's saying is so untrue, why is Fauci not suing him? Because he should be. Because the thing
even more,
if those things aren't true, that RFK is not saying, that absolutely has defamed him. It has, caused loss of his reputation, which is the definition of defamation. Why is he not suing?
And as we were talking about the other day, I don't know if you remember this, but because he got pardoned, he can no longer protect himself with the Fifth Amendment.
Yes.
So why he's not, why he's not suing, because as we said the other day, just the exploration part, having to answer the RFK camp's question to say, what'd you do this? Discovery phase is what it's called.
Discovery, yeah.
But imagine all the documentation that he would have to provide. He does not want to go there. Now he's pardoned, so he can't be held criminally responsible for what he's done, but he's also lost his Fifth Amendment right to just plead the Fifth and say, yeah, I will not share information that will put me, that will convict me.
Yeah, that would.
But at the same, I hope, and one thing I would be very fucking scared if I was him, if I was Fauci, is the fact that there's nothing out there that can prevent the HHA to form a committee to go after him, to have him in front of Congress to start. So this is the thing. If I was Fauci, I'd be fucking worried, because that there's politicians out there that are going to follow the HHS's recommendation and try to go after Fauci. We don't care that you can't incriminate yourself. We care that you can't incriminate yourself. So let's answer the fucking question, asshole, and let's figure out what you really stood for.
No, I'd be all about it. I'd like to hear it.
You and me both, and I think most people would actually believe that as well, right?
That were done on vitamin D deficiencies and how that impacted immune systems, and just sunlight, exercise, diet, all those things play a critical factor in how well your immune system functions. And the idea that the only way your immune system functions at its peak is you got to stick a fucking metal pin. Like, are you healthy?
Hold on here. I'm laughing because we always stream, and this is hilarious. This right there proves my fucking point that I've been saying forever. Once again, I was live streaming on TikTok as we were talking about this, and guess what just happened? By us stating facts, by us actually talking about what is actually correct, the fact that we talk, the fact that I just got, hold on, I'll share my screen, and this is for all the people out there that don't believe, for all the lefties out there that don't believe that conservative voices are still being censored on social media, and this is all conspiracy theories. We were talking about Fauci and RFK, and here you are, TikTok live as we were talking.
No way.
Did you not see the alarm at the top that said that one of the live wasn't working properly?
Oh shit, that's what that was.
And how I just lost my access
I'd
from.
be interested. Like, so anyone who's watching this, go back and watch the last 10 minutes. See if there was anything whatsoever that would have warranted any kind of a ban or anything. We're literally just speaking, asking some questions, and not even asking them as in like we're not suggesting anything whatsoever.
Mhm.
I mean,
So I'm on my TikTok right now, and
Yeah.
it's basically saying that you have accumulated strike from previous violation. The next violation could result in you preventing getting access to some features. Now my live has been canceled. I can no longer do lives for something like 10 days on TikTok.
that's
And
crazy.
yeah, but it's okay because I signed with, I told you this. I
Yeah, you
signed
told me
with
about
an
that.
agency, so I'm going to contact the agency because they get access to this information that we don't get as users.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we'll see what they say. But very interesting, isn't it, that
I
I
mean,
wasn't providing my my opinion here. All we're saying is that the fact is, if RFK said stuff that wasn't real, that Fauci would have sued him. Plain and simple. And
absolutely. That's not. See, I mean, they're really playing, and that's just like, well, I guess that was TikTok, but that's the same kind of thing that's been going on for a couple of years with like, government cracking down, social media cracking down,
Mhm.
and people don't like that. Like, I mean, I am by no means am I like conspiratorial about that stuff. Like, yeah, I think we talked the other day. I thought the lockdown stuff was heavy-handed, but I thought maybe they did the best they could. I mean, I know you feel differently. A lot of people feel very differently, but the point is, like, someone like me who's quite level-headed about all this, like, when I see that stuff, I mean, that shit radicalizes me, man. Like, the idea that you can't even suggest that there might be some downside or some negative side effects to the mRNA vaccine. That's insane. There's potential downsides to every single medicine or drug ever invented, but with this specific one, we can't talk about the potential downsides. That's crazy, man. That is insane.
I actually find it quite interesting that it happened live on camera, live on the show, just to prove my point. This is the point I've been talking about for years now, that a conservative like me cannot even point out what other people are saying that is actually true
That's
without
crazy.
getting in trouble.
Like, that's nowhere near, like, the argument that they would say is like, oh, we can't have people spreading misinformation about that. That wasn't anywhere near anything to do. That wasn't
But that was what,
remotely
and that's
any
what they
misinformation.
but that's what they got me for right now.
Wow.
They actually, my violation is I provided misinformation.
Is that what they said? I'd love to know specifically what.
Oh, I will reach out to the
Yeah,
company that I
I
signed
mean,
with, the talent agency that I signed with, and this is mainly the reason why I signed up with them, because they get to protect you. They will prevent me from getting banned.
yeah.
So now I'm in trouble. So they're gonna cancel. They're gonna throttle my stuff on TikTok and blah
That's
blah blah.
crazy.
But oh yeah, but that's what I've been going through for 4 years now as a conservative content creator, and I still don't have access to my Facebook. And you know how much it would cost me to get Facebook? I found a guy that actually recuperates banned Facebook account for
Yeah.
similar. I was banned for misinformation too, and they accused me of shit. I have it somewhere. I can't remember. $6,500 US that it would cost me to
That's
get my
insane.
account back. Yeah, for what? For saying things that turned out to be true. It's absolutely insane. My live capabilities on Instagram are canceled.
You're gone.
Similar for something that was already on Instagram that I reshared as a story. I didn't even create the content. I just saw something funny that was
Yeah.
about communism. I reshared it. Within a couple of minutes, I received 5 or 6 emails just like, okay, you no longer are capable of doing live. We are now not sharing your content. On the discovery page, we will not be pushing your stuff. I used to do 5 to 10 million views a month I can barely do 1 million over the past 6 months, and I'm still prevented from doing live for another 6 months. So
I mean,
they cut me off for 1 year, and I've opened tickets after tickets with them. They won't even, they close the ticket as soon as they say what it is. They see what it is. They're like, they close the ticket without helping me. But this is the reality of social media.
I'm telling you, man, the left needs to wake the fuck up about this stuff. Like, they talk about creeping fascism and everyone's a fascist, but do you not understand? Like, do you not see what's going on? Like, literally under your noses. Like, this is creeping fascism. This is how it works. Like, free speech used to be a core liberal value. I don't know what happened, but it clearly isn't anymore. And a lot of the libs and lefties are okay with it because they're so convinced that it's only ever going to be used against the other guys. But I mean, history tells us that is not how it's going to work. Governments change, governments are cyclical. Someone's going to come in power. If there's a well-established government crackdown on free speech, so they've got the mechanism, they've got laws in place, they know how to do it, that will be used against you at some point. Even if it's not by the current government, the next one that comes in or the one after that, someday it's going to be something that you disagree with, and then it's going to look completely different.
Bro, I just find it, I'm just used to it, I guess. It's a shame to say that I'm used to it, but this is a sad reality that guys like me.
I've never seen that up close like that before.
Oh, bro, that's like the third time. I can't even tell you how many times that has happened on TikTok alone. I'm saying that this is at least 3 different social media that either ban me outright, remove all of my access, remove accounts that I've had for years, or completely shadow banned me. Like right now, I'm shadow banned on Instagram. Since I complained about not being able to do lives, right after I've opened 2 tickets with Instagram. One to say, hey, it's been 6 months, shouldn't I be getting my access back? Because that's what you told me. Then I noticed that there was a year. I still had another 6 months to go.
Yeah.
I complained about it, saying this is not right. This is not what you guys told me. Open a ticket. They closed it without telling me why. I tried to reopen another ticket. They closed it without telling me why. And right after, my content's views are so. Of course, why do you think I'm trying to build X? Why do you think I'm happy that most of the content that you and I are doing are on X? I'm going to spend less and less time on platform like Instagrams and TikToks because they get me in trouble all the time. Yet, what did I say that was wrong? We're pointing out we were talking about truth. That was that was not an opinion. This is what. So I'm not surprised, but it always kind of disappoints me a bit because it's unfortunate that the truth is no longer enough. You need to conform to what people think, because if you dare go against the grain and against the mainstream media's narrative, you're going to get in trouble. And this is either that somebody reported me, somebody saw the live and they listened to it, they're like, we don't like it, but I'm ready to bet that it's not even somebody that complained, that it's the AI. They heard the word something probably like COVID, or they're just Fauci. Like, they heard COVID, Joe Rogan, Fauci, Dr. Malone. Okay, whoa, we got to stop this shit. So I'm very curious to see. I'm going to reach out to the company and see. They should be able to get the information as to what happened.
I'd have to imagine if there's any fairness there in the appeals process that it would be favorable. But who knows? Maybe, who knows these days? It's funny. I've heard right wingers complain about this kind of stuff for years. It's really in the last 6 months that I've sort of feel like I've seen it firsthand, where I've been like, oh shit, yeah, those guys are right.
Been happening to me for years, bro. At least 3 years. So,
well,
funny enough, but don't feel too bad about it. Shit happens, man. I'm not worried about those things. I've been able to. There's a good reason I have a following on every single media platform outside of X.
It's a necessity.
But no, it's just that I'm able to duplicate. I'm able to create content per platform because I know how to do it, but I also speak the truth. That's why people follow me. Now I'm just going to concentrate on X because you don't seem to get as many trouble.
No.
As much trouble. So
I mean, it was really when it wasn't really until Elon bought X that sort of my eyes started to get opened up, just because I was seeing content and things criticizing the left and specifically gender ideology that I just had never seen before. And it just completely sort of opened my eyes. And I mean, I that's why I certainly, you know, I'm no Elon fanboy, but I definitely appreciate what he's done here on X. And I think, you know, I think it was necessary to have at least one social media platform that is sort of known for free speech. And hopefully it seems like the other ones are actually starting to follow, right? You're seeing Facebook start to slowly go down the road.
That's not true.
You don't think that's real?
They won't give me back access to my own account.
Oh, yeah.
So that's not true. And I can tell you Meta runs Instagram too. And I'm in trouble with Instagram right now. Like I know my numbers. I know I look. I'm in.
Oh yeah, you know. I know.
I look at the numbers. So
you can tell when
you can tell they started throttling me last week. It's just like, hey, my content. I was reaching 1 million views again for the first time in 6 months. I'm like, oh shit! I used to average 5 to 10. I'm like, oh, finally, I'm getting it. I'm back to 300,000 since last week.
But before I had a large following on any social media platform, I always thought people, like, you'd hear people complain, oh, I'm being throttled, and I'm like, oh, these guys are just babies, whatnot. But it's true. When you have a big following, you know your numbers. You can know. I could pin, like, I've been throttled a few times before, and I could pinpoint the second when it started and the second when it stopped. Yeah. You definitely.
So it's mathematically, and that's what I did for a living. Understand this stuff. So at the end of the day, it is what it is. I think I'm at a point that I think it's funny. I just know where I'm going to spend my time more than other platform. But now I'm very interested into what their reasoning is
on that. See
what, fuck yeah! Bro, I will talk about it on this platform. It's kind of proving my point. So I find it funny that it happened on the live as I'm paying attention. I'm like, oh, wait, it's
especially because you can go back and see exactly what we were talking about. There was nothing that we were talking about that should have warranted anything like that.
This is like for the people out there that don't know me, that don't follow me, that don't know what my content is about. Whatever I say here is like so mellow compared
to the PG-13
version. Bro, this is like kid stuff. If you want to see what I really think, check out my podcast on Woken. That you're gonna see what I really stand for. So, but again, funny enough, I there was still a part of the video on Joe Rogan, but I think I made my point with that one. I know you wanted to talk about the video about that Chinese woman. Do you mind if we push it to tomorrow?
No, let's do that. We'll do that tomorrow, because that's not
it's always
tomorrow as well.
Because we've been almost 2 hours. We're 4 minutes outside of 2 hours. So on that note, guys, if you find this show entertaining, if you like what we're talking about, if you think we're full of shit, whatever it might be, you should follow us. So follow us at The Poly Orphans on X and YouTube. Make sure to follow Rob at Rob_the_builder on X. You can follow me on every single platform out there at Real Nico Lagan. I would suggest you do it on X, because now it seems definitely not TikTok.
Not TikTok.
Instagram's a problem. So if you want to follow me, I guess I'm going to start saying I'm everywhere. You can follow me anywhere
except TikTok.
But probably TikTok and Instagram, you're not going to see my real opinion either, because I'm being throttled again. But X, it seems like I'm growing it. So hey, let's do it on X. But on that note, we want to thank every single one of you that listened to us, that stuck with us, that enjoy our content, that share our content. Let us know if you have topics you want us to talk about. If you think that there's people out there we should interview, because that's going to be a big part of our show now too. Like I'd like to go, at least myself, I'd like to have one interview a week. I'd like to be able to have a solid interview a week.
Yep.
And we have a couple of people that we have lined up, just a matter of setting up a date. So it's going to happen, no doubt about it.
We'll promote it once we have dates from. We'll let you guys know.
100%. But thank you for being here. We really appreciate every single one of you, and we'll see you tomorrow.